Oh, welcome everyone to I think episode 97. I'm not sure of the Wednesday Night Live show. Tim's the man that keeps that track of that number. On tonight's show, we have a special guest. Mr. Jim McDonald is joining us. Jim is a writer and editor for Vaping360, also a board member of CASA. Jim quit 38 year. I think that's the longest we've had anybody on the show with a 38-year smoking habit back in 2012, using guess what? A vape device. Go figure. And on tonight's show, Jim's going to share his vape journey story with us, as well as his duties over at CASA, if he wants to, and and how he got started over at Vaping360. Hello, Jim.
Hey there. Nice to see you guys.
Yeah, we've been trying to get you on. I'm really glad.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know you're busy. I mean, it's been a busy time for that person above your head there, and for Paul. And I just go with the flow. I'm not part of it. But let's say hello to Allison. Allison, how's your week going?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Just, another week of working. So living the dream. Yep.
Yeah. And Mr. Paul, how are you doing? Eating, always fucking eating. Paul's always eating.
Oh, come on, give me a break. I needed a little snack. All right, give me a break. And I shouldn't be eating these, but I am.
All right, no. I want to see the Australian snack food. Hold that box up.
Oh man,
come on. You've never seen those.
Chicken crimpy.
Yep. They're so good. It's they're barbecue chicken crackers. They're really good.
No Vegemite?
Oh wow, here we go. No, knock it off.
All right.
We're not going to start with that one today. All right.
Are you gonna wash those barbecue crackers down with a Foster's? I'm kidding.
God.
Wow. I've actually had a good week. Yeah. I've actually got to spend some time in my garage building stuff. So, yeah.
Nice.
Dealing with a 200-page essay for the TGA. Yeah.
Nice.
Really good. Yeah, it's real fun.
Are we close to being of calling you Dr. Paul soon here? Pretty soon, right? Are we there yet? Do I have to call you Doctor yet?
No,
not yet.
Not until everything gets changed over. Very shortly, yes.
Okay. All right. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to create a special whole new bumper just for you. And
No. Yeah. No? I'm literally doing it to scare the shit out of the government here in Australia. Put it that way, because they're not going to like it.
No. Are you going to be doing physicals right there on the corner in your van? No.
I'm just gonna teach them chemistry, down to earth chemistry.
I think you're going to do a great job. I think you're going to do a great job there. I think that's what they need, some people there to open their eyes, and it's good that you're doing what you're doing.
Well, someone actually asked me the other day whether or not I was going to run for government here, and I went, that ain't gonna happen. No, don't you dare.
Why not? I'm sure you have an amazing pension there in Australia for your politicians like ours here.
$200,000 a year for the rest of your life.
Yeah, see, I take that job in a heartbeat.
No, thank you, because I'd be kicked out in 5 minutes for swearing.
Jim, would you take that job, Jim?
$200,000 a year for life, I'd take.
Yeah. See, want to sign this bill through?
We're playing Monopoly now, are we?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So $200,000 for year, or you owe me $50,000 on that property. Which are you going to take?
You have to run for office though, which isn't all that easy.
Yeah.
Here it is actually. You just got to buy someone a few beers, and next minute your name's on a form.
And that's the same thing here. It's no different.
Yeah, point taken.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't. I don't know if I could handle being a politician and just having to deal with all that paperwork constantly. And I know they have people that do a lot of that stuff for them, and they just kind of, okay, yeah, all right, you just give me the gist, what's going on this bill, and we'll figure it out together. But yeah, I don't think I would want to be responsible for, something like that. I just couldn't handle that. I couldn't.
Actually, with what you've just said there, we'll get into that a little bit later, because that's a question that I've got in the back of my head for Jim. This is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah. Well, let's get right into Jim. Jim, how is your week going? And you're ready for this we're hard-hitting journalism we're going to throw at you.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready. I'm not used to talking to other people this late at night.
We got him off his axis. There we go.
You did. You knocked me off the. Yeah. So it's an all right week so far. We had the little story yesterday. Well, I guess we're going to talk about it, so I won't bring it up now.
Yeah, we got both of your stories up. The two stories that I chose to do tonight. Well, one affects me greatly because I'm out here in California, so I figured we can touch on that one as well. And the disposables. Both of those two articles, I think we're in. I put the links to those articles, and we'll put them out there in chat for everybody. And who wants to start off? Allie, would you like to start off with that? Let's start them off with the big question, Allie. Go ahead. Let's start them off. Let's just start them out with that one.
Okay. So, Jim, if you had to choose one thing to eliminate from vaping for everything else to be approved, legal, get it anywhere you need it, not as an advocate, but I guess just as a person.
You're in a congressional hearing. They got you up there and they say, you need to pick one thing, take it off, and we'll keep everything else. What is the one thing that you choose to take away?
Yeah, this is like, so this is my nightmare that there are people put in the position where they can do stuff like that because, nobody has any business doing that. But
no,
I'm not sure I have an answer. I guess I don't know, because every innovation in vaping is helping somebody,
right?
So I guess you'd have to figure out which one impacted the smallest number of people,
right? Well, you think too that because a lot of people that we've asked this question, they have some sort of a tie with something that they feel has caused a majority of the issues that we're seeing today. So a lot of people go into salts, say, all right, I would get rid of salts and end it altogether. Some people go into the disposable realm of it. Some people say limit all e-liquids to 25 milligrams and stuff like that. I mean, to do any of those,
right? And I would not do any of those things. So I guess I'm going to have to back down here and not answer your question because unless you can give me an option, that doesn't matter to anybody.
Yeah,
I think honestly the best answer is what would impact vapors the least is get rid of tobacco flavor.
Yeah, get rid of I like just get rid of that one altogether, man, please.
Right. I get rid of the black licorice.
Yeah. That's one of mine. I can't stand either.
There's somebody who loves that too. So
Honeydew is another one. They can get rid of honeydew for all.
Fluid. Put fluid out of business. Remember fluid?
I knew it would touch some. Honeydew is okay. It just depends. If it's just a hint of honeydew, I'm good with it. But if
I don't like melon flavors at all.
Right.
For me, there's like I miss the mouthfeel of the melon itself. I can't just take the taste, disembodied taste.
Yeah.
But I'm in the minority. A lot of people like melon flavors.
Yeah. We're mango. I'm a mango guy. I love mango and anything, and I'm good. I'm happy.
I think we should ban mango. So.
Yeah. No, I would. No, I can't say it because they'll shut it down. I was going to say something that might have got me in trouble. Well, let me ask you, Jim. When you first started to quit, what device did you choose to go with, and was this something someone just suggested to you, or was it an impulse buy?
So I don't know. I don't know what got me to do it.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I have a couple interesting notes here. One is for several years I worked in a place in a mall, and I walked past a kiosk that sold e-cigarettes probably 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I never even thought about trying it. But at some point, that point was in 2012, I decided I was going to try this, and I researched it pretty heavily for about 2 weeks. And I mean, my original plan was that I wanted something that was the size and shape of a cigarette. I wanted it to taste like a cigarette.
Yeah.
And that was my preference, and I didn't think anything else would work.
Right.
But then after doing a little research, I decided to get an Ego device. It was before, well, actually there were Claromizers, but they weren't selling them with the batteries. So I got an Ego T, which was this really awful.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I quit with. And, I got 2 different tobacco flavors, which were like really awful tobacco flavors. They weren't, anything that you would.
How long did you stay on those 2 flavors before you
for
made
about a week?
For about a week.
I was already doing research about e-liquid at that point, and I found out that in my old hometown, which is 50 miles away from me, there was an e-liquid maker that made some of the best e-liquid there was, and it was Illusion, which I don't know if you guys remember, but
Paul might, yeah.
And I became really good friends with the people at Illusion, and that's pretty much all I used for many years. I tried other things too.
Yeah. You bring up a good point, because I think a lot of people that are not in this community or vapors or smokers don't realize that a majority of us put in the research. We didn't just like grab something and just started vaping it. We actually, I did the same thing. I spent weeks looking at stuff and checking it around, seeing what it was like. And even before I did it, because I thought the same thing they think. Well, you're just switching one habit for the other, or this is just as bad as for you. But, and then it was my mom. My mom's like, hey, I saw the blue on the Phil Donahue show.
Yeah.
Go buy this thing and try it. And I'm like, all right, went over to the store and found it, and I was done. I hadn't touched a cigarette since. So.
It took me a little like 2.5 weeks to actually quit smoking. But the second I tried it, I knew it was going to work.
Yeah.
I knew it was just a matter of like letting go of the cigarettes. And even after I stopped smoking cigarettes, I carried a pack of cigarettes around in my car for like months and months, because I thought, this is too good to be true.
Yeah.
There's going to come a moment when I just have to have cigarettes. It never happened, but that's how tightly you get tied to cigarettes.
Yeah. When I quit, and I officially quit, my brother found, I forget the name of that store in the mall. It's one of those stores that sell those oddity things, those weird, wacky stuff. And it was a cigarette in a glass tube, and it said "break in case of an emergency." And he gave that to me. And it was this little tube with one cigarette inside of it, and it just said "break in case of an emergency." I was like, "You're an asshole."
I had an unopened pack of cigarettes in my house when I quit. I think it was American Spirits. That's what I was smoking at the time.
Yeah.
And I left that in the back of my refrigerator. And then I forgot about it. And I don't really like clean my refrigerator or anything. So a couple of years later, I was like reaching back there for something. And there was a pack of cigarettes.
Hey, those are worth gold. There's gold. It's like wine. No, I'm kidding.
I'm sure they were delicious at that.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, Paul, go ahead. You got a question for Jim?
I do, actually. This is 2 parts to it. We were saying in the intro that, if you're in government and you've got staffers working for you, and they read the documentation that's being put forward to the senator or to any of the members, do you think the opinion of the staffer is actually being brought forward at all into what's being put into policy?
Well, in some cases, it's totally the staffer that's responsible. You'll get a staffer who has, a special interest in a certain topic, and the politician doesn't really care about it, but they're willing to follow the staffer's lead if they think it's something that'll, help them be useful in some way. And that happens a lot. And I think it could also happen that you could have a staffer change somebody's mind if they were interested enough to pursue it. And I know that there are some congressional staffers that, well, there are a lot of them who vape. And I'm surprised it hasn't had more effect by now.
And the second part to that question is, do you think it would be wise to start initiating conversations with the staffers and educating them further as to bring the good sides and the bad sides of the industry to the senator and to his table and say, look, there's two sides to this story. There's the real side and there's the dirty, mucky side.
Right. Yeah, I do think.
How do we educate when we get to that point? If we get a seat at the table with a staffer, for argument's sake, we have a coffee with them, or we have a beer with them, or we go to lunch. How do we bring both sides of the story, the misinformation and the real information, and teach them the difference between the two?
Sure. So I don't have a lot of experience doing that. I have spoken privately to some state politicians and their staffers, but I don't have enough experience to give you like a good breakdown on how to do that. But a lot of people do that regularly. So if you were to talk to like Paul Blair, or actually Allie's probably done that too.
Yeah.
Nick Orlando.
Yeah.
Nick does that all the time.
Yeah. Amanda and Greg Conley. These are, all people who've had meetings with staffers. And I know that in some cases they'll hear back like, well, I totally agree with you, and that's what I'd like to do. But, tobacco-free kids rules the roost. And
because we've talked about before with Nick, and with some other people, just the fact that a lot of staffers now are vaping, you have to assume that they've been approached by someone in their office, like, okay, what is this thing? Hey, make sure nobody sees you doing that, or what not, any of those things. But
so, if I had to, there's no way you can put like dates to this, but let's say that everything was just banned, and in the United States, flavors were banned, and there were NIC level limits, and all that kind of stuff. And we were starting from a position of being in a deep, deep hole, deeper than we already are. I still think that given enough time, vaping would succeed just on its own. Just because there's no way to stop this technology from spreading. There's no way to do it. It's going to happen by itself without any help.
Yeah.
That'll take a long time. It'd be a lot better if we had some help. But I'm just telling you, I don't think there's any way to keep vaping down in the long run. I may not live to see that moment, but you guys will. So
yeah. I the big thing. Go ahead, Allie. I'm going to let you go ahead and ask your question.
Oh, no. I mean, I was just agreeing, and I was, with that, a lot of the times too, like bring data with you, for like conversations, and be like, and start with, I know what you're seeing in the news. This is what they're saying, and here's what's real, and here's what's happening. Like for me, like when we go approach people from South Carolina, it's like, look what happened in this state that banned it. It didn't fix it. It only made it worse. So let's try to work together to make it better for everybody. And a lot of people do have an open mind to that. If you show them first, acknowledge, the bad, or, even though it's fake, just still acknowledge it.
I totally agree with that. And I think in Australia, Paul, you kind of have an advantage in that they like banned it except for prescriptions.
Mhm.
And then immediately after that, bang, the black market takes off like a rocket. What are we going to do? Ban it harder? You know,
They can find them. They're going to find them.
they're
Yeah,
going.
my friend from New York was in Australia last week working and bought black market disposables.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
It's like bang anywhere. Like
So everybody's up in arms about disposables, but disposables might be vaping's greatest success in the long run. It might be able to prove the point that you just can't stop this. I don't care what laws you pass, what regulations you pass. This stuff's just going to happen. Do you want it to be predictable, good products that we can regulate and have rules about, or do you want to just? I mean, here's the real one.
Well, yeah. I mean, Paul's always bringing up the fact that, you know, it's all about controlling the nicotine, and that's pretty much the goal. I mean, if they can take that part of it out, I mean, do we have people that can produce and manufacture nicotine at home? Do you really want to even try that?
Nicotine will come through Mexico. It'll come through Canada.
It'll come through anywhere. Yeah, you're not making it at home.
In Australia, it comes from.
I hope nobody's making it. We have bathtub juice. I can just imagine what freaking nicotine bathtub juice is like.
It'll be the same nicotine we have now, but it'll come through Mexico and Canada.
Yeah.
We'll get it.
You can't prevent stuff like that.
No. It'll find its way in. But that's the problem, like you brought up. I mean, it's the fact that you have a product now that you can regulate and control, and you're going to make sure that the consumers are getting a product that is safe instead of, you know, the guy on the corner. You know, we always make the joke, the guy with the trench coat with, you know, I got mango, I got grape, I got orange, I got, you know, coffee flavor. Yeah. I mean, that's the guy that's going to someday decide, hey, you know what? I don't have this ingredient. Let me try this.
Let
me try something else.
I think making e-liquid's pretty easy, though. I don't think that you're going to see, like, you know, terrible health problems.
Look, if they went down that pathway, all right, you would then have to ban the open sale of propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, and then all food flavorings across the world. Impossible. Physically, and like on a monetary basis, it's impossible.
And then we'll just innovate something else. They already are, right? Like that water-based vape. Like
water-based vape.
Something else will come out.
That's genius. Oh, yeah, all right. Here we.
I put antifreeze in mine.
Yeah, well, we all do, but
you really testing that popcorn lung theory.
I missed that. What did you just say?
No, we all actually use antifreeze.
Oh God, yeah. I use the one with that has the green label on it, that's specific for Toyota vehicles only. Oh man,
we told you to stop coloring your liquids. John. It shouldn't work that way.
You know, it's funny because, you know, something that I find, I shouldn't say funny, but I always find it odd that there aren't any. We have all this data that's going around, teens buying, you know, illegal vapes and all this other nonsense, but yet I don't see any statistics showing law enforcement actually doing their job and enforcing these laws in C stores, vape shops. I don't see the stings. I don't see numbers. Hey, we busted 800 stores this year. You don't see any of that data anywhere ever.
Well, FDA puts out lists of the warning letters they send to retailers for stings.
But that's not a real threat. But that's those
in the 80s, they would come in there, they would shut your store down, they would take paper and cover all your tobacco products, cover all your alcohol products, and embarrass the shit out of you, fine the person that was working behind the register, and it was all this. It was a Hollywood production when you got busted. And now I don't see those numbers. I saw one set of numbers maybe 3-4 years ago about a little sting they did out in New York with bodegas, and that was just a horrible number because it was like, what was that number? It was like 5 out of 6 every store sold.
They do age compliance
every store
all the time. They do them all the time. I don't know. I don't know how you haven't seen that, but they do.
I haven't seen those numbers, and I looked
And
through.
most of the offenses are convenience stores. There's a very small amount that are actually in vape
in
shops.
gas stations. Even the vape shop names, you go, is that a vape shop or is that something else?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, if you have, by the way, all the compliance checks they're doing now or that they've done this year have been for disposables.
Disposables.
That's what they're going after. So, but you know, if you go out and check that stuff, you'll find some people. But then what happens next? So the FDA sends them a warning letter, and they have to like jump through some hoops. The local authorities who actually do the compliance check, they might give them some more severe punishment.
Right.
But you know, not much happens to these places.
Well, okay. In response to that, here in Australia, when the prescription model got brought in, they started handing out fines to like even for advertising, right?
Yeah.
And some of these are getting rather nasty now. We're talking $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 fines.
I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, those are serious fines there.
The top fine so far is 96,600, which equates to about 85,000 US, right?
Yeah.
And this is the really ludicrous part that I don't understand. They said that we wanted the pharmaceutical model or the pharmacy only prescription model, yet they're now fining pharmacies for advertising a product on their website. But you can't get said product on their website until you're 18 in any way, and you need to hold a prescription.
I've got a question for you on that. I haven't followed super closely the last few months, although, you know, I read newspaper articles, which there are a lot of about Australia. But when the prescription law first passed, or soon after, I remember seeing that A, it was really hard for pharmacies to get the products, and B, there were almost no doctors writing prescriptions. So what's the point of installing a model like that if you're not going to make it work? They're just asking for a black market.
Yeah. Maybe that was the goal. It was just to make it not work.
Not really, because we now have the figures on what we have here in tobacco taxes, which is around 17 billion a year. Yet the healthcare or the budget that's not even there for people with smoking related illness is up around 123 to 130 billion a year. Okay. So we're not even making a dent in that part of it. When they first introduced it, we did a lot of pushback at first, and we had it pushed 6 months further into the future. When we got like word that they were going to bring in a prescription model, there was a lot of backbenchers or a lot of the lower down people within government that actually pushed back against it, because they were all using these products as well. And they were saying, but hang on, now you're going to make our life hell? Why? Why are you going to make our life hell? Well, you just got to get a prescription. Now we're up to, out of the 21,000 doctors here in Australia, we don't even have, it's not even 1% of the doctors that are actually prescribing, which is a big issue from the get-go. Second, you have the AMA, Australian Medical Association, and the RACGP, Royal Australian College of General Practitioners, that are actually pushing back against it as well. Yep, but hang on, you were the ones lobbying for this system. Now, what do you want? Oh, well, you can't use vaping products as a first-line type deterrent. Yeah. It has to be second and third line. But you have to jump through the hoops first, proving to your physician that you've tried the sprays, the gums, the patches, the pills, all of that garbage which we know the success rate on that is very, very low. And then when we get to, but now you got to go to a pharmacy, you can only have this closed system. And then only a week or two ago, PMI got, dragged across the coals because of what they were doing and supplying the Vive to pharmacies and giving kickbacks to the pharmacies. And I thought, well, okay, what? Everyone has to make $1 here. Why are you throwing them under the bus? It makes 0 sense, Jim. 0.
Yeah.
They wanted it to fail from the get-go.
That's what it seems like. Or they just didn't think it out.
Well, we didn't really have the smartest health minister at the time, Greg Hunt. He was very corrupt in what he was doing in the background, approving just about anything under the sun for making money for the oncology type departments and manufacturers.
Sure.
And then we have the head of the TGA, Professor Skerritt. Okay, exactly what do you hold your PhD in? And when you dive into it, he shouldn't be running it. Second to that, you have the TGA, or the therapeutic goods, which is equivalent to your FDA in the United States, is a pay-to-play system. Now, they're
like our FDA.
Right. Apparently, they're not funded by government, but I think it was either 94 or 96% of all revenue that the TGA makes comes from putting products through a process, which, so the larger your checkbook, the quicker you're going to get through. But in saying that, it was very interesting because when PMI came to Australia and they put the ICOS through the system, it was rejected. They said, this has got no harm reduction in it at all. And I was scratching my head. I said, do you guys actually know what chemistry is? Do you actually know what you're looking at, the data sets that you're reading? Obviously, you don't.
They don't believe in harm reduction. So.
No.
Oh, no. Well, you know that we've got certain public health muppets here, I'm going to call them, like openly. I'll call them a muppet because that's what they are. We still have Dwell, we have Chapman, we have Freeman, we have Swanson. We've got all of these people, right, here in the background playing games with our lives. Why? And now we're following the dark money now into Australia, and it's out of control here. And this will make you think, Jim, for a second. Bloomberg throws money in here through the Melbourne University, yet in Australia we pay Bloomberg, the foundation, for not for tobacco control, but for looking into lower socioeconomic countries. The Australian government pays the Bloomberg Foundation $40 million a year to be part of what he puts in. So he kicks in X amount, and then we kick in X amount. And this is where the problem is. Even the science at the universities now is being tainted because they're not doing, it's not repeatable studies time after time after time. They just get what they need to satisfy the report. We'll give you some more money. That's how it works. And that's scary.
You're making me want to drink, Paul. All right. I'm just kidding.
Jim's trying to understand what's going on here in Australia. And disposables in the US market, right?
Easy.
No. It's way more now than 2 billion. game over. I'm sorry. It's way more than that now.
Well,
are you saying
2
Jim is
billion
wrong?
in the
Are you
US.
saying Jim is wrong?
No, it's 2 billion just in the US.
Yeah, just in the US.
Yeah, but that's growing weekly. That figure has gone.
Sure.
That's going like this. You can watch the climb.
Well, this is a report that measured a period of time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You hit the first one, the keynote in the article, which was the 2 billion. But we talked a little bit. I kind of talked a little bit about, disposables and how I feel about them. And you hit it right on the head. I mean, at the time that I suggested it took off is about the same time you were talking about. And the sad part is we were buying them like crazy, not knowing who was the seller, not knowing if any of these companies were actually, like we said, doing any PMTAs or doing any research at all. These were just people that were going to China saying, what device do you have? What does it look like? Can I make it? Can you make it? How much is it going to cost? And where can I get juice to put in it? And these are people that came in, flooded the market with disposables and just made money and walked away. And now we're seeing, it even worse today than ever, because I literally can go walk around here in Modesto and I will not find two people that have the same device.
Yeah.
Ever.
Well, if you read my article, I did. You notice that I didn't say there's anything bad about disposables.
No.
I think that anything that gets vaping out to more people is a good thing. Right. Now, there's a lot of problems with disposables. The fact that they're largely unrecycled and they have lithium batteries in these casings and it just gets tossed into landfills. That's bad.
Yeah.
But so when I first encountered disposables, there was a big semi-moral panic about Puff Bar.
Yeah.
And what I found looking into it just a little bit, I was not extensive research, was that, not only was there a thing called Puff Bar, but there were 17 factories in Shenzhen making Puff Bars. So that told me right away there was no single company in the United States that was Puff Bar. You had these distributors or importers who were dealing with the FDA and basically being blamed for all this. And they were selling Puff Bars, but I don't think it was just them. I think Puff Bar was just an idea as much as it was a real brand. And as soon as Puff Bar got in trouble, they just slapped a new name on the things, made them a different shape, and I'm sure the Puff Bar guys who got warning letters are still.
They just got an acceptance.
They just did.
They got what now?
They got an acceptance.
Oh, for synthetic product?
Yeah.
Well, everybody gets an acceptance, or almost everybody.
I didn't know this time around. I didn't know if it was going to be the same as it was last.
Did you use the right checkbox?
They made sure they had the right form. That's what it is.
Did you file that
form? They said, wait a minute, this says on the bottom, it's just 2019 on here. Wait a minute. Where's the new form?
I like how they changed the form 2 weeks before the applications were due.
Yeah, I was scrambling.
So I mean, good for them if they got acceptance, but I mean, I still don't.
I just thought it was a funny thing. One of the first ones I heard of was Puff Bar of all companies.
I wish that FDA had some stuff online that you could look at, like you could for the original round of PMTAs, with the companies that applied and so forth. It's not that many companies. It's 200 companies. It wouldn't be that hard for them to do.
Right.
But FDA. So I don't remember what point we were at in the discussion of disposables.
Oh, you were saying how Puff Bar changed.
I wrote a lot about Puff Bar. I wrote probably 3 or 4 articles about Puff Bar.
Yeah.
Most of the time it was based on, Dick Durbin sent a letter to somebody and, this Puff Bar is going to be the end of a new generation. And,
yeah.
So,
but with Puff Bar, was there an actual CEO, a company, or was this just something that they were distributing to?
Yeah. There is a CEO. He was at that nicotine conference I was at.
Okay, because I thought maybe, you know, when I saw Puff Bar for the first time, I really didn't pay attention to who owned it, and I just assumed it was a product that China said,
young.
"Hey, let's just fill these, let's send these out to wholesalers and distributors, and let them figure out who the hell wants them." And I just thought it was a bunch of investors jumping in on a market that was.
I think it's both. So the original company that got cited by the FDA for Puff Bar was a company called Cool Clouds Distribution. And remember then supposedly Puff Bar announced that they would no longer sell in the United States.
Yeah.
So Cool Clouds Distribution sold all the IP for Puff Bar to another company. Oddly enough, both companies had the same address, the same building.
They were next door to each other.
So weird.
So, and then the new company had these two young hotshot guys who were supposedly like the co-CEOs or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Remember, they were interviewed on CBS Morning News, and I just thought, oh man, these people could be smart enough to not talk to anybody.
Yeah.
But they're not even smart enough to do that.
It's the arrogance. I think a lot of it. Yeah, and it's perfect because the news outlets always seem to find those people, you know, and they never go after they never go after the Nick Greens. They don't go after any of the big names that can actually sit there and break it down for them so they understand. No, it's always the guy. I'm not even going to get into it because that was the big thing during the rally, and everyone got a little bit upset at the rally, you know, saying, "Hey, don't talk to anybody. If they approach you, say, hey, go talk to this guy or go talk to that guy. Don't sit there blowing clouds." And I get it, I know, but it just seems like, you know, that's the image that we get, and it's kind of sad. But I think the last couple years, I think that image is gone. Do you think people still think of us as big cloud people? Because I think
they think of us as young teenagers with the
yeah. So Jim, do you have your skinny jeans on right now, Jim?
I'm wearing sweatpants. But, I don't think that there was ever an image problem for vaping. I think that's something vapors thought of in their own head. You know, I never thought that like you should crack down and get all these bad labels off the e-liquid and stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They're going to come after you. It doesn't matter what you do. So there is no like internal policing of the vape industry. First of all, that's just like, you know.
Yeah, they were going to find something.
How are you going to do that? That's impossible. But it wouldn't have mattered because Tobacco Free Kids, who runs everything, has got like a rotating list of issues that they just keep going through over and over. And then Juul came along, and now we have a brand name to stick it to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they've been talking about flavors since before the Tobacco Control Act was passed. So it doesn't matter what vaping companies do or what vapors do, or you know what you think and what kind of image you think will be acceptable. Nothing about vaping is acceptable because Matt Myers doesn't want it to be, and he runs the show.
Right. Yeah, we used to joke about they would even go after the font if they could. The font.
Yeah. Arial.
That font is way too cartoonish.
But it's not the people who hated vaping and ran these panics that ever talked about the cartoonishness, or that was vapors talking about.
Yeah. It was vapors that kind of got that fuel fired. You know, kept putting fuel in that fired actually. Right. Disposable vapes have grown from less than 2% of C-store markets to 33% in the last 3 years. That was in your article.
Yeah. So the whole article is based on a report by a market research company in Chicago. That, you know, I looked into. They're legit. It's not like all these people who put out press releases about their market research that are. I never heard of this company, but this one is well known and respectively.
IRI.
IRI, and they've been surveying 30,000 C stores among other stores, and they found that basically disposables have just taken over, which we all knew that. I wrote in the article that this is nothing here is going to be a surprise to anybody familiar with with the landscape of the vaping marketplace, but Reuters thought it was interesting because, my God, $2 billion. Nobody knows what this stuff is.
Yeah.
It's just, if you eliminate flavored pods, and that's what people liked, and here comes a product that's the same size and shape as a pod, or it was then, and works the same way, and it has the flavors, then we're just going to switch to that. And that's exactly what they did.
Allie, you have something?
I mean, this is just a small preview, I think, of what, and like I told you, John, I said I disagree with you about disposables because we carry disposables in all of our stores.
I said if long as they're
the MTA, we're trying to do the right thing. We're trying not to paint a bigger target on our back than we need to. We have a lot of stores in South Carolina and a good reputation, so we don't, and that's all we care about. We're trying to help people quit smoking. Right. So, we try to carry reputable brands, things that you can, scratch off and authorize it online, say, okay, this is an authentic product. So I feel a little bit better because you really don't know. You don't know if you're buying it from somebody off the street or TikTok or whatever, however these kids are getting it, because they're not getting it at vape shops. Yeah. But I mean, when you push people into a corner and you take things away from them that they like, this is what happens. This is what happens. I mean, if you don't like this, wait till the black market hits. Like, it's going to be 10 times worse. Like, I mean, now you walk into a convenience store and that is literally all you see. And I know my son's in high school. I know that a lot of these kids know what C stores will sell to them underage, not ask for an ID. They know what time to go, what person to ask. Like, they're gonna get it, just like I got into my mom's wine when I was 16. Like, it's gonna happen. So, and the more you make it something that's, ooh, don't do that, the more kids want to do it. So everything they're trying to do is backfiring on them, and you can see it.
Yeah. And it's been the same with every substance that whenever adults try to stop adolescents from behaving like adolescents, it in no way can that ever work. No. And people, I do not understand how these people who have like degrees in child psychology and stuff like that, have you never talked to a teenager? Because
have you never been a teenager? How do you forget so easily the dumb shit you did?
I think they were the teenagers who joined the Youth Against Smoking.
Because they had good psychiatrists, Allie. They had good psychiatrists, and they blocked that out. They blocked out all the bad stuff, and then they wrote a book. And it's just like, well, hey, we grew up. My generation grew up. My parents grew up reading Spock's book on how to raise kids. Come on.
But I mean, my kid will never touch a vape.
They listen to Spock of all people. They listen to Spock.
I think just talk to them like they're real people, and not at them, and explain it to them like a real person would. My son could grab anything he wants to, but he won't, which is why he could, but he would not, because one, he doesn't want to do that. He plays the trumpet, and he doesn't want to do anything like that, and he doesn't have to because he's never smoked, thank God. So like, just talk to them, tell them the truth. Like, I smoked. I don't ever want that for you. This helped me get off of it. That's the end of the story. You don't need it.
Yeah. And I get, like what's his name talked about a couple of weeks ago about, kids do have jobs. They do have jobs. They do make money. Some kids are out mowing lawn. Some are actually working at Taco Bell. So they do have income, and let's be honest, all their income is disposable, so they're going to buy whatever the hell they want, and I get that. But even as a parent, even like when my kid started working at his first job, I said, hey, you want me to set up a checking account for you? You have to get to this much first, and then once you get enough of this money, you can open up a checking account, and you can kind of keep track, get yourself a nice little ATM card. But when, like, even if your kid has a job and your kid constantly is asking you for money, and you know your son is making upwards to, let's be honest, I don't know what an average teenager is making per week, but let's say part-time he's making close to $400 a week, maybe. Is that about right? Is that high? Too low?
I think
Probably
that's
in
fine.
California.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, yeah. I don't know.
And your son's, all right, let's just say he's making
And that's
$800 a month, $800 a month, and he's broke constantly. As a parent, I am going to ask my son, why are you borrowing money from me? If you're making $800 a month, what the hell are you spending $800 a month on?
Right.
No comment.
Right.
No comment didn't work at my house. Yeah, no comment.
No,
didn't
when
work
my
at
son,
my
I mean, and with technology today, when he spends money, I get a notification. I know what he's buying.
Yeah. It blows me away that, okay, you want to put the blame on somebody else when you're the parents, when your kids do something wrong. I get that. Your son's an angel. Your daughter's an angel. I get it. Your daughter cannot do nothing wrong, but you know what? Your daughter's who drove her car through the friggin' house, you can't blame Chevy for building a car. You know what I mean? That's where I'm going with vaping. I mean, you need to be a parent. You need to be a responsible parent from time to time and pay attention to your kids. All this idea of like, oh, this is their space. I have to respect their space. No, that space is in my house.
Right.
I wouldn't even go that far. I'm not saying anybody's not a responsible parent.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that responsible parents can always protect their kids from everything.
No, they can't.
What I'm saying is this is what adolescents do.
Yep.
They practice being adults. They want to do adult things. They want to do good adult things. They want to do bad adult things.
Yeah.
They want to do everything adults do and see what it's like. That's their job.
Yeah.
That's what they do. And until we just accept that they're going to do stuff, it's like Allie says, you talk to your kids, you talk to them like they're human beings, you're straight with them. You do your best.
I had a weed
And
guy.
you hope that they're listening.
Everybody had a weed
and
guy.
if they mess up, you don't start an organization and try to take down the industry of what your kid tries.
Well,
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's just like I get, this push from California to all these groups that are out there, but yet there's there's never a sit down where both parties sit down and say, okay, how can we make this safer? How can we make this better? What do we need to change?
They're not interested in that. So
it doesn't. It will never matter to them. That's the problem.
And it's sad because the only thing you're doing is and the only thing you're doing is scaring the parents into never trying it because now they're terrified because this is the information they're getting.
Yeah, that's right. And now, Allie, I don't think you understand. Those commercials are micro-targeted at teenagers. No adults ever see them.
Yeah.
I see them all the time. I watch a lot of TV.
If I see one more anti-vaping commercial on Hulu, I'm canceling Hulu.
It's always an ad that you can't skip to. I'm like, oh, I'm so mad. Damn it.
So I don't watch anything on TV except baseball and hockey. So I've narrowed, all the commercials I see are for gambling.
Yeah. they targeted you.
The good addiction.
Fantasy football coming up. Oh, no. Yeah, no. I mean, and no matter what you do, the kids are going to do what they feel they need to. They're going to get what they need when they need it, and they're going to find a way. And that's the scary part. I think I would be more worried about a black market as a parent than I would be from my kid getting it from a C-store where I know that at least it was manufactured, it's safe, and it's not going to have an alternate chemical to enhance it in any way, shape, or form. But yet you don't give a crap about Joe Blow on the corner of 9th and 13th Street, selling vapes out of his trunk of his car, to kids. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
The problem is that they don't know that it's reliable because it comes from a convenience store, because they've been scared into thinking that it could kill their kid if they use it. And if they're not educated on it, or they don't know anyone that uses one, they're never going to know the actual truth.
Yeah.
Well, all the concern about this happened when vaping invaded, I'm going to say middle class, but that doesn't really get it. It's
is there one still in the United States?
And upper class communities where these people, these adults, are 2 generations removed from knowing anybody who smokes.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, and to them, this was just horrifying.
Yeah.
Horrifying seeing, you know, this is like parents in Alabama seeing Elvis in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Look at him shake those hands.
You know, it's just
yeah.
absolute terror.
Yep.
And then naturally organizations spring up out of the blue to feed that terror, to plant those stories. And it just took off. But, you know, it wasn't accidental.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to the disposables for a second, and back to Puff Bar for a second.
Yeah.
In the 2021, was it, or 2020 National Youth Tobacco Survey, I think it was 2021, last year, Puff Bar was the most popular brand.
Yeah.
Now, that survey was done in early 2021. It was during the period between when Puff Bar said they were removing themselves from the market and when they came back with synthetic nicotine. So there wasn't any Puff Bar when all these kids were saying Puff Bar was their favorite brand. So what you got going on here is 2 things, I think. The one I wrote about in the article was that people are using the term Puff Bar as a catch-all for
disposable.
Yeah, correct.
And I think that that's the largest part of it. And then I think that also, now I lost my train of thought. The fact is that most of the people who are surveyed, most of the 10th through 12th grade or 8th through 12th grade kids who are surveyed have only vaped once or twice. Yeah. It was somebody else's vape. Somebody said it was a Puff Bar. Yeah. They took a drag on it, so they said, I vaped a Puff Bar.
Yeah.
It's so when you say that it's the most popular brand, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But the FDA doesn't explain that. If they know it, they don't bother getting into such details. You know, they just let you be afraid.
Yep.
Not the FDA, the CDC.
CDC. Yeah. Gotta love those people too over there.
So I was happy to see this article yesterday. Didn't really even mention Puff Bar. I was surprised too.
Now it's Elf Bar. That's what I
they named all the brands that made $3 million a week.
Yeah.
I was, you know, I know a couple of those people, by the way.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be looking up the loans.
Seriously, $3 million a week?
Yeah.
3 million in sales a week.
Yeah.
Son of a.
We can't keep them in stock. We cannot keep them in stock.
See that? Yeah. You're gonna. You know, the government's getting rid of a lot of revenue money right there.
No, that's
yeah.
This
is gray market, not black market. So they're in the product. They're paying the taxes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. The guy on 9th and 13th Street's not paying taxes.
So if you know a place where 9th and 13th intersect, I gotta find this.
I'm just throwing out random numbers.
I want to go to this place as well. It sounds like a fun place to hang out.
Ask for Joe.
How much wine did you drink before you got there?
It was a birthday day. Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's, you know, there's a lot of money and I get it. You know, there's revenue there. And one of the things I brought up last week is talking to some people here in California about what's going on here. And when I would explain to them the situation, they would kind of look at me like, well, wait a minute. So if we're getting $9 billion, this is their logic. We're getting $9 billion from MSA money from Big Tobacco. If we take that away, that means they're going to come after us for that money. And I would rather get the $9 billion from Big Tobacco than have to be taxed more during my life. That's how people thinking out here. It's like,
so the goal of the Juul multi-district litigation in San Francisco is to push Juul into a master settlement type situation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. MSA 2.0.
2.0. Yeah.
But you know, just for listeners, sake here, there's no way to like push vaping into the master settlement, the existing master settlement. It's an agreement between the tobacco companies and the state governments.
Right.
It's not like a punishment by the government of the
right. Yeah, it's just well, that's what they're saying. But they would rather have that 9 billion keep coming in and keep cigarettes and get rid of vaping than to keep vaping and get and then end up having to somehow, some way, come up with that 9 billion every year out of them. That's how they're looking at it.
Well, I'm not. Who is it you say is looking at it that way?
A lot of people that I talk to out here in California, because I'll bring it up. I was like, here, this is what's going on. Because people see me vaping and they'll ask me, hey, that's bad for you. And then I'll go through the whole thing, explain to them why, this is going on and why they want to get rid of vaping and understand that, this is cutting into tobacco money. It's cutting into taxes from MSA money. It's also cutting into local and state taxes as well. So their feeling is, well, if we take this away and save the tobacco money and the tax money, they won't come after us for extra tax money. That's how they're looking at it. So they would rather people get cancer, continue to buy cigarettes, and continue to have that billions and billions of dollars coming into California than the state going after them to find, we're going to tax you a little bit more on water. We're going to tax you a little bit more on your car. Yeah, that's how people are thinking out here. And that's scaring me, especially, coming with November 8th coming up here and having to there's a possibility that this could get passed on this second round.
The state legislators that are in office now are, 25 years removed from the master settlement.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't even know what the fuck the master settlement is. Can I say fucking?
Yeah, you can say it. Yeah.
So the
drink. No, I'm kidding.
Thumbs up. You're allowed to swear on here.
I'm just saying, there's like not any like smoky back room or non-smoky back room of politicians.
Yeah. Well, Newsom even brought it up. Newsom even brought it up.
That there is, such a thing.
Yeah, Newsom even brought it up in his conference here a couple years ago. He talked about, he actually brought it up. He said, we got, $7.8 to $9 billion from big tobacco, blah, blah, blah. He made a big thing about it. And then a week later, he had the balls to come on TV and say the state of California was $7 billion in debt. I'm like, how did we get $9 billion and end up $7 billion in debt?
So this is an issue that's going to have to be dealt with. And I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. It's not going to happen the same way everywhere. But all the states have got a lot of income from cigarette sales. And in most of the states, the master settlement amount and the tax amount are close to equivalent, or in a few states where taxes are really high, the taxes are low. But in any case, it's a lot of money, and smoking is declining, and vaping is making it decline faster. So something's going to happen, and I'm not sure we need to start this topic now because we could go on for several hours easy. But
talk away.
Something's going to happen there, and I don't know what it is. Because first of all, I don't think you could tax vapes high enough to make up for lost cigarette revenue. It's just that pricing structure built up over decades and decades. And the taxes were raised and raised and raised. And by the way, every time the states or the feds raise the taxes on cigarettes, the cigarette companies raise the price too, just a little bit.
Just a little, make up the difference.
Their income keeps going up. Cigarettes are more profitable now than they were before the master settlement.
Well, California is getting $2.87 a pack in taxes.
Yeah,
$2.87.
Another 75 cents for the Fed. Is that the highest of the states, or is New York?
Yeah, I think California.
New York.
New York is,
No,
New York is
Cali,
like-
New York, and now
more than
Ohio.
50% black market now.
Yeah. New York scared the crap out of me because I was still smoking back then when I went over to visit my uncle in Buffalo, and I forgot my cigarettes in the,
Oh,
at
in
the
Buffalo,
house.
they were even cheaper too. The closer you
Yeah.
get to the city, yeah.
Yeah,
The
and I was like,
reservations in Buffalo.
I had to go, oh shit, I was out and about, and I said I got to stop at a convenience store and buy a pack of cigarettes. I bought 2 cartons with me, and I was like, screw it, I'll just stop at the local gas station. The guy, I go, pack of Camel filters, and he goes, $12, and I go, no, 1 pack, and he goes, that is the price for 1 pack. I was like, okay,
Yeah, they were 15. I moved here almost 10 years ago now, and they were 15 when I left in the city.
yeah.
And how much are they in South Carolina, or how much were they then?
When I moved, they were super cheap. I think they were like 4 and change, and then they were like a buy one get one free thing going on. Like I was like, oh my god, I can go more.
Got to remember those Camel bucks. Yeah.
So I was driving from Michigan. I live in Michigan to New York City in the late 90s. And I drove through Pennsylvania, and I happened to stop at this convenience store, and they had this big bin, a giant bucket thing in the middle of the floor in the C-store, full of cigarette packs that were packed like 3 packs of cigarettes wrapped together, and it was buy one get 2 free.
Get 2 free.
And I said to the guy, "So how much is this?" And he didn't know. It might have been his first day. I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah.
And he scanned it, and he goes $1.65 or something like that. It was some incredibly low number.
Yeah.
And I said, "What, each or for all 3 packs?" He's going, "For all of it." I'm like, $1.65. And he said, "Is there a limit for how many I can buy?"
Is there a limit?
And this was Camel filters and Camel lights.
Yeah.
They were all mixed up together.
Yep.
And so I got out my credit card and bought like $700 worth of cigarettes.
Yeah.
Then I drove to New York.
Yeah.
And you sold them.
My friend Mike and I took like sacks of them into the bars that we went to. And we sold the cigarettes for $5 a pack, which people were pretty fucking happy to get.
Genius.
Yeah. And I made all my money back in 2 days and still had like 50 cartons of cigarettes to take back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those poor
Anytime my
bastards.
family comes down from the city, they always buy cigarettes here to bring back up with them. I'm like, what are you going to sell those out of the trunk of your car? Like, what are you doing?
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
So that was my greatest moment in cigarette buying.
That's like the
That
first
is the
thing
deal.
you take. I used to laugh because we went to Italy every other year when we were teenagers, young, and every year we went to Italy, my grandma would pack a friggin' suitcase full of cartons of cigarettes that she was taking back over there for them. I was like, "What? You have 1 bag full of cigarettes, just a whole bunch of cartons of cigarettes," and she would just hand them out to all the relatives." You wonder why I started smoking.
Right.
Yeah.
That generation right there. Yeah. Now, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in California and get your thoughts on that a little bit there, Jim. What do you think's going to happen?
So California has a referendum on November 8th, asking people whether they want to keep or discard the flavor ban that was passed by the Assembly and Senate 2 years ago. I think what's going to happen is it's going to get, they're going to keep it. I hate to say that, but I mean, California has had a couple referendums on tobacco related things, and the citizens seem happy to stick it to the smokers as much as possible. I'm afraid that's what's going to happen.
But do you think with the $9 billion and the tax, this is something they don't want to happen right now?
Who doesn't want it to happen?
Because this is going to go after cigars as well. It's going to go after any flavored cigarettes as well. It's going to go after menthol as well.
Right. I don't understand your question. It's something who doesn't want to happen.
Well, I'm saying assemblyman, Congress, not Congress,
Well,
but governor.
They overwhelmingly passed it. They don't care about the taxes.
Yeah.
So they're I think for most of them, honest to God, they think they're doing the right thing. They think, because the main purpose of this is to ban menthol cigarettes.
Yeah.
They think they're doing something that'll help people. They just can't get it through their heads that there will immediately be a black market to fill all that all that business in with untaxed, illegal cigarettes.
Yeah.
And they're going to come from Nevada, and they're going to come from Oregon, and they're going to come from Arizona, and they're going to come from Mexico.
Yeah.
And they're going to have plenty of menthol cigarettes in California. What'll happen is there's going to be, there'll be a lot of raids on convenience stores, and they're not going to be the convenience stores in Beverly Hills. They're going to be the convenience stores in Compton and East LA and and Oakland. And you're going to have the same thing that you've had happen for decades with weed happen with what's now legal cigarettes. You're going to have really unfortunate interactions between the police and people in Black and Hispanic communities, and it always works out okay for the police.
Yeah. Well, they rewrote this too as well, right? Because this is it's also gonna stop online sales as well, but not. No. And I don't understand, because I remember the first time I read this before it was coming out, you were still going to be able to order outside of California. So
you still can.
You still can. So, I mean, to me, I mean, I don't know how many vapors are in the state of California. I don't know how many are actually ordering online, how many are actually going to vape shops and all that stuff, but it's got to be a considerable amount of money that's going to be now. I don't know, Utah's going to get it, or, people are going to start ordering from back east and get their e-liquids. And these all that revenue is going to other states.
I don't know how much that will happen, because California makes it pretty hard to ship, to sell stuff into California. You have to have, Allie would know this better than me, but I think you have to have California licenses for.
Where they want their taxes.
And it's a crazy amount of money even to apply for it. I mean, there are some companies that have exemptions, of course, but I mean, what's going to happen is just like what happened in New York. People drive to Pennsylvania, they're just going to drive to the closest state next where it's legal and buy it themselves. They're just going to buy it in bulk.
The people who will do that. Everybody else will buy disposables.
Right. Yeah. Right. They'll buy black market disposables, or they'll make it themselves.
Hey, they're just giving me a reason to take a trip to Reno. That's all.
There you go.
I'm just gonna go in Reno.
But I mean, the people who will be hurt by this are people who they don't have a car, and if they did have a car, they couldn't afford to drive to Reno, which is a pretty long drive from San Francisco. But people will continue to get stuff. More people will smoke because it's easier to smoke than it is to jump through hoops to get vaping stuff. But a lot of people will continue to vape. It just won't be with legal products.
Right.
As far as I mean, all kinds of bad things will happen by banning menthol cigarettes. But I'm not an activist for menthol cigarettes, but I don't think that prohibition ever works for anything.
Right. And you even wrote in your article, even if the FDA goes ahead and authorizes flavored products, California can still just say no.
If this passes, they will say no. It's just automatic.
It's just automatic.
It doesn't. And so Juul and I'm not sure who else, probably RJ Reynolds, tried to get an exemption for PMTA authorized products into that bill and failed. Juul, by the way, goes around the country doing that. They do it proactively too. Why don't you pass a bill that bans all the flavors except stuff that gets a PMTA? Because they don't have any flavored stuff. So
they did the same thing with synthetics.
I'm not praising Juul too much here. They're using their money to do evil as well as good. But
just like any big corporation. I think that's true.
Yeah, it's not so much a vaping thing as it is a money thing.
Money thing. Yeah.
Big companies use their influence and money and wealth to stomp out the little guys and get even more powerful and wealthy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is sad, because if it was really about public health, then that would be the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to retire somewhere else then, I guess.
Australia.
No. Australia's going the opposite.
I ain't going to Australia.
You know, we've got he doesn't like creepy crawly things or
I don't like those big spiders.
Hey, you do have, I'll give you this, Australia does have an amazing Italian population, so it would be one of the places I would probably enjoy going to, but you'd have to get rid of all those creepy things.
What? Don't worry about them. No, honestly, don't worry about it.
That's just your typical Australian. Don't worry about that stuff. Who cares? You know.
Well, I like snakes, and I've spent like all of my life like looking for snakes wherever I go. They're not that easy to find. Yeah. So people who are worried about snakes, you don't worry too much, because
I hike and I run into snakes.
It's those big ass spiders y'all got. Those are not.
They have good spiders in Australia.
Hell yeah.
No.
I hike a lot and I see snakes every weekend. So
yeah. I need to go where you're going.
I got spiders in my garage, dude. They keep the other animals out of there.
No, it also keep me out of the house.
Paul's I got spiders in my garage that can kill you.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I can't.
You know, it's true that people are always killing spiders in their house. The reason the spiders are there is because they're eating insects that you've got in your house.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When they're the size of a small dog.
Exactly. Thank you, Allison. When they're the size of a small poodle. Yeah.
So what? I'm doing a promo. So what? They kill things.
When you see a spider carry off a dog, that's when you know shit is going down.
That's when you shit. That's actually when you shit toast.
Yeah.
Going back to taxes, and Jim, you're looking at different places when it comes to tobacco taxes. Here in Australia, we've got the highest in the world.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah,
it's ludicrous. If I was a betting man or a very smart man, I'd start investing in underground tobacco, because right now here in Australia, a packet of cigarettes is like $35 to $37 for a
packet. That is fucking crazy, man.
Pack of 20.
And people are, I mean, it's the same in any place that has high taxes. People don't buy them. They buy the illicit ones.
Yeah, exactly. So
what do they call the homegrown tobacco there? Chop?
No, that's actually, get this. This is the really funny part about Chop. Chop actually gets imported from India or through the Middle East or through Asia. It's not grown here anymore.
Okay.
It was once upon a time.
So there's lots of tobacco grown in India and Indonesia and all around where you are. So,
and it's that will cost you $700 a kilo. I looked into it the other day.
Jesus Christ!
Wow,
that's a lot of money.
$700 a kilo.
A kilo is
that's 2.5 pounds.
2.5 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
How many cigarettes can you roll with 2.5 pounds of chop?
That's a shitload of cigarettes. Dude.
Oh, okay. All right.
Allison could probably drive out some back road and pick it.
Yeah.
Can you get in trouble for growing it in your house or in your backyard? Can you do hydroponics and grow tobacco in your garage if you wanted to? Hydroponic. Well,
you can't grow tobacco hydroponically.
That's weed, John.
That's the wrong kind of.
It's the wrong. Hey, well, that tells you what I know. I don't know that stuff. I'm not into that.
No, tobacco is grown naturally for 99% of the time.
Can you grow it? Can you grow it in your backyard? Will you get in trouble for growing a tobacco tree or whatever, bush, whatever you call the damn thing?
Yeah, $11,000 per seed.
No shit.
Yeah. So yeah,
Wow.
you'll get in trouble.
Per seed. Yeah.
Wow.
When they bought out the tobacco growing licenses here back in 2006, the guys down in Victoria and Tasmania that were growing the tobacco for the industry all moved into growing the poppy for
Heroin.
the other industry. Well, not for heroin, but it was for the opioid industry for Johnson and Johnson. That's how it all. Yeah, that's how it moved here. It went from one to the other. We went from tobacco and tobacco growing to now we're the dirty little secret where we grow 60 to 70% of the world's opium supply for the opioid industry. No one knew that one either.
I thought the opioid industry was basically synthetic at this point.
No, not at all. No. You still need a base for creation of the opioid. The rest of it you can create synthetically, but Johnson and Johnson and Tasmanian Alkaloids, they were the ones, and Abbott Pharmaceutical, they were the ones that created the original base for it, which was known as the Bane, and that was created here in Australia and grown in Tasmania first and foremost. And there's still huge poppy fields down there. Huge.
You guys know that heroin is a brand name?
Yeah.
What?
Heroin was a brand name, and it's owned by the Bayer company.
Yeah, pharmaceutical company, right?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's old though, isn't that? That goes way
the
back.
19th
Right?
century,
Yeah, that goes way back.
Wow.
Because
No, I never knew that.
It was at one time an actual, like, a remedy.
Sure.
It was a cure-all.
Go get me a bottle of heroin.
Yeah. Sure. Back in the old West, that guy that was where they used to call those guys that came into town with their wagons and they had the elixir, the all magic
Doctors.
elixir. Yeah, doctors. Yeah, they were doctors. All right. This will cure your hemorrhoids, your prostate.
Snake oil salesman.
Yeah.
Well, if you just get on Google and search heroin.
Oh, there it is.
You'll see.
Yeah, it was their brand of morphine. Wow.
Yeah, to get off cocaine. Yeah.
But hang on. Nose coffee's fun.
So morphine is the base of. I don't know why we're getting into this.
Oh, well, we want to play chemistry now.
Hold on, let me go get my gloves. And
first, you convert opium to morphine, and then you can make heroin and other things from
Correct.
it.
Correct.
Heroin is dimorphine.
Yeah.
Thank God for smart people.
Yeah, dimorphine's quite a lot of fun.
If it wasn't for that guy saying, "Hey, let's mix this and this and this together," who knows what we'd be today? I mean, that guy.
We'd be getting along without heroin.
Yeah, I know we could have gotten. Yeah, we could. I'm not going to go there.
Well, it's the same as a lot of
It's one of those ideas that's going to come along, whether whether it happens now or 10 years from now or 20 years later.
Yeah.
Somebody's you can go back. It's just sitting out there waiting to be invented.
Oh,
yeah. Kind of the same thing. It was waiting for a battery that was small enough and powerful enough to make it work, and that's all it took. And the better the batteries we can make in a smaller package,
yeah.
And the more cotton we can jam into a little plastic case.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I opened one the other day, and I swear to God, there must have been a half a pound of cotton in that thing, dude. I was like,
I gotta think that there's got to be some problems caused by putting all that stuff together in there. But
hey, China says it's safe. No, I'm kidding.
I'd actually look, with what the FDA has done, they're pushed manufacturers or developers in the US to look at China for a solution. And disposables, a lot of the disposables that I've pulled apart just for shits and giggles, it's not actually cotton. It's a mixture of cotton and a type of foam substance that actually holds the liquid. around the coil. What about if, you know, manufacturing went back to the US and
Oh,
brought back up?
that pod would be $80.
So what?
Yeah.
But the quality of it would be outstanding.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm with you there. It's just the cost of manufacturing a product here in the US. It would put that pod right out of a majority of the people's hands because they wouldn't be able to afford it.
Yeah, but yes and no to that. Okay. Because you've got CNC machinery in the United States, but labor costs could be brought down. You just run the machines 24/7. Okay. It's your assembly teams that have to put the devices together that you have to really pay. The machines, you're not paying a machine, you know, $25
but you're paying
an
an
hour.
operator $80 an hour.
No, oh wow!
Don't tell me no. My buddy runs a CNC machine, makes almost $75 an hour.
Yeah, but that's
yeah, correct. Again,
yeah,
you got to look for the outlying states that need industry.
True,
you set up these smaller industries within
Wyoming.
these states that are struggling. It brings work to the community.
Yeah.
Hell, you're helping people get off cigarettes.
Yeah.
Think about it for a minute.
Oh no, I'm all with you. I'm just looking at the cost.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have widespread acceptance of the product before any United States manufacturing happens.
Correct, Jim.
Or a war with China, and then all the manufacturing will come back at once.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then you'll have to pay people $80 an hour again.
Yeah, correct. But there's win-win situations for everything in this.
Yeah.
We've got to look at where we can go, how we can move like in and around the sections that we're playing with and working with and the regulation currently. What if you started putting the proposals towards the government that we want to start industry, we want to put money into the community, we want to help people, we want to try and lower the health costs, but oh no, then the pharma companies come up your butt again.
Yeah.
Simple.
Well,
we can't win.
Until you get people to understand that vaping is much, much, much safer than smoking and accept that and see that as something that should be encouraged, you're not going to get anything. So,
correct.
You know, people ask me all the time, why don't these people, you know, why do they hate vaping so much when they know that it's better than smoking? Well, they don't know that. They believe the bullshit. So
the bullshit that's all out there. Well, one of the things that we kind of talked about, I think we all kind of talked about it, is like a company actually approaching a system, a weaning off system, like with the disposables. We kind of talked a little bit about that, where they had the 25, or let's say 50s, 25s, all the way down to 0. Mm-hmm. Why hasn't anybody done that? And do you think it would make a difference with the FDA if they said, here you go? Because it seems like they always want the patches. There's a process of you quitting. With the gums, there's a process of you quitting. Really here, there isn't an end goal.
Well, you're asking, why doesn't somebody take that to the FDA?
Yeah, like come up with a product. Here's our product.
Because then it would be a therapeutic product, and it would be regulated by the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research.
Okay.
And it doesn't appear that they're willing to look at anything that uses heat to vaporize as being a potential therapeutic product. So if you can, you could go to the FDA, the CTP, and do a PMTA or an MRTP application for, you know, a descending nicotine strength system, but you'd still have to get past them just for the product itself, you know, that this is appropriate for the protection of public health. Now you're adding another layer to it. Yeah. Not only, you know, in other words, you're going to have 4 different products that have to get through the PMTA, and they all have to get through or the system doesn't work.
Yeah, the system won't work. Yeah, if you just throw one out, you're done.
And then, you know,
Well, it
as
was
long
just
as
something
the
I always
FDA
thought.
is going to be so difficult about this, there's almost nothing additional you can throw in there that's going to make it more likely that you get authorized.
I feel like we've tried. We take everything that they've said in court, we listen to their arguments, and then we try to put that into the new PMTA thinking, this is what they're asking for. But at the end of the day, they're just going to ask for more. They don't want to give us an approval.
Yeah, that's correct.
So they're going to find a reason not to.
Yeah, we've been applying since 2012. Everything they keep throwing at us, we keep changing.
We've had our ingredients listed with them since they made us. They know what's in our liquids. They can evaluate them and already determine that these things are safe. It's just when you put them together and heat them.
Well, that's an interesting thing. That the first thing they did once the PMTA took effect, the first thing they did was make sure they had everybody's names and addresses.
Yep.
And then all
Good
the
old government
products that you make. So basically, I hate to put it like this because I love all these people, but you were suckers to give the FDA your information.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that would have kept you alive much longer anyway.
Right.
But,
yeah.
That's exactly what they did though. They immediately tried to pin everything down where it was and who was making it, so they'd be able to do what they're doing now, which is, find the people who aren't following the letter of the law and sending them warning letters.
But I mean, as responsible business owners and people that genuinely do care about helping people, you want to be on the up and up. You want to be as honest and open as possible because you're not hiding anything. I don't think people ever thought in a billion years that was going to be what was going to come back and bite them in the ass, was that they literally freely gave this information out, thinking they're doing the right thing and thinking all along, when this comes down to it, we'll get an approval because we've always done the right thing.
Yeah. So I thought at the time that there was a pretty good chance that it would come back to bite everybody in the ass. I didn't say that out loud, but Conley said it out loud.
Yeah.
But I don't think the FDA has ever had any goodwill toward the independent vaping industry, which they see as just a bunch of yahoos in the Wild West.
Yeah.
Well, it makes me wonder, do you think law enforcement is looking at this like a joke to them? Do you think they're going to actually
shop with us? What are they like? Where are they going to go?
That's where the cops buy all their vapes.
Yeah. I see here Modesto all the time. He goes, I vape. They won't let me vape in the car. And I go, well, that's fair. I mean, I get it. They don't want you vaping in the car, whatever. But I see tons of cops vaping all the time here. They just can't vape in the car.
For vaping in the long run, I'm not saying it's going to have any effect on authorizations or anything. But in the long run, there are a lot of groups of people who are among the small number of people who still smoke or vape or use nicotine in some other form. There are, certain groups that can be advantageous in the long run, like cops and military people, but also intellectuals. Writers and poets are big time smokers, and these are groups that can have an effect in the long run just by being influential with the people they know and the people who pay attention to them. Small comfort for what's going to happen.
My son said it was a huge issue that first week that they went under, because he goes under in a sub for 3 months, and he said they were allowed to take vape with them, and there was areas that they could vape in, but of course that all came to a head. They were just like the sub captain or whatever they call him. He's just like, no more vapes on because it was right at that time when they were exploding. Remember the battery explosion thing? They're like,
was it the Navy?
Yeah, the Navy.
The Navy banned vape on ships.
They and my son said there was it wasn't a lot of happy sailors. And then you got to think about it. You're in this little tiny sub with 20 guys for 3 months underwater with no vape, no cigarettes, no nothing.
A lot of them build coils too. When I used to work in the store, a lot of them would come in and buy it in bulk before they would deploy somewhere, and they would be like, building coils is what is my hobby. Like, this is what I do in my free time. I have so much of it. So it's not only are they not smoking, but it's something that they can do to pass the time that they enjoy. And now they can't do that either.
Yeah, they can't. I told you, I'm telling you, one of these days, I'm going to, next time I swing by the hospital, I am going to drive by that section and I'm going to videotape all the nurses and all the doctors that are sitting out in the smoking area, vaping their asses off.
Nurses are another, also medical students. A lot of,
there was at least 20 doctors and well, doctors and nurses, because they're all wearing those. I know they're wearing the scrubs, so I know they're nurses and doctors, but they're all in that little smoking area. Maybe 3 or 4 of them were actually smoking cigarettes, but the whole rest of them were all little handheld vape devices. Just
good. It's good. Again, that's a group of people who, even if they're like self-loathing tobacco users, I'm vaping, but I hate myself because it's horrible. They're still going to have influence on other people who just see them doing it.
Well, look what happened when Juul got banned. It was like all of a sudden people woke up, and I saw all these articles about Juul, and I'm like, oh, because now you're losing something that you use, so now you're paying attention.
Now you opened your eyes.
Well, when that happened, did any of you go through like Twitter threads on Juul being able to read all the comments by the the one thing that struck me the most, I mentioned this on the show earlier today with Alex Norcia, is that a lot of these people were saying, why did they ban Juul and not any of the other vaping?
No, I can't do that.
Like, where have you been?
Where have you been? Where have you been? Because they didn't know. They don't know.
Because you don't know until it actually directly affects you. And I don't, as much as I don't want any harm reduction to be banned, I think the best thing they could have done was that to Juul, because it kind of opened up everybody's eyes to what's going on, what we've been seeing.
I agree. And it's not like Juul lost anything. They brought out the lawyers like overnight and got it solved. But,
the FDA knew that wasn't going to stand. As soon as they did it, they knew it wasn't going to stand. It's like almost like we're doing something.
I think it was a matter, I'm just guessing wildly at this. I don't have any evidence of this. I think it was just Caliph calling the CTP and saying, you need to do something with Juul right now, and it needs to be big. And so
like, look at us, we're doing something, we're listening to you, politicians.
And then he can he can call Dick Durbin and go, see, you fired me. I'm doing something. But,
it's just another Tipper Gore. I should bring her up. I'm not going to bring her up. But it didn't work out. It didn't work out then either. So
no,
it didn't. But I mean, did you feel? Well, for me, I like here in Modesto. For me, a lot of people didn't know what vaping was until Trump actually had to sit down, and then I think a lot of people in my area realized, okay, what is this shit? Are we really? What I got a majority of the people were saying is like, really? This is what we're concerned about right now. This is what the president needs to be focusing his time on is vaping.
I don't think that among the population at large, vaping is any kind of issue at all. If you look at any election year, they'll come out. You just watch the newspapers, you'll see a list of like the top 20 issues that people name as being what they care the most about. Vaping's never on that.
It's not on that. It's not even on the top 100.
No, it's not on anybody's radar. Beyond the extent that it's forced onto their radar by activist groups that push it into the papers with stories, horror stories, and it's a classic moral panic. It's a top-down thing that was created by people who wanted to invent a moral panic, and those things fall apart from their own weight. Just not enough people who care about it to keep it going, and that's what's happening now. It's not an issue really, except that Tobacco Free Kids is pushing it to remain an issue.
Well, that's the thing, like with my mom, okay, I would have not known what the hell blue was. I had no clue what the friggin' blue was. So she's the one that brought it up, she's like, hey, but that whole generation now is the generation that's fighting us. That was the generation that was saying, oh my God, you guys got something. This is going to work. This is going to make your life better. You're going to quit smoking. Now that they've gotten that generation to flip on us so quickly, and now that generation is the one that approaches me when they see me on the street. It's always someone between the ages of 65 and 75 that are always telling me,
hey, so
you're going to die.
So I'm 63.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stand up for the boomers here a little bit. We are the generation that believed in better living through chemistry.
That's right. Yeah.
We're the generation that invented acid and that popularized marijuana and invented Zima. So
you invented Zima. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that.
I'm just saying that all these old people who, whatever their point of view on vaping or anything else, you got to try to remember when you see these doddering old people that they were at a fucking Jimi Hendrix concert.
Yeah. It's just funny though to me how quickly that flipped. Even flipped my mom, because my mom was like, "Are you sure it's okay?" Yeah,
that's what the tobacco companies used to say too. Did you know the doctor used to prescribe cigarettes? You just don't know.
Yeah. And what's funny is, now my mom watches very, very little American TV. She has the Italian network that she watches, Raya, and Raya is running these commercials, and they're anti-vaping commercials, and I'm thinking to myself, because here she was the one pushing me, hey, go to Walgreens, go get this thing. And now she sees me doing it all the time, and then all of a sudden that Valley thing happened, and then she was like, oh my God, because the story was running on Raya, and Raya's like, oh my God, people are dying from vaping. Italy's going to push this. They're going to stop people from vaping in Italy. And now Italy, I guess, changed their outlook towards vaping is positive now, correct? I think they're somewhat.
They've made some headway.
They made some little headway, yeah.
So the best countries in Europe are the UK and France.
Yeah, UK and
everybody else is pretty iffy.
Yeah. Because even like I have family right now here from Sicily, and they said a lot of the kids are vaping over there, and a lot of the parents are happy, because I remember my first like vivid memory of, like, I remember where I was in Sicily at that time. I was about 10 years old. They all smoked. All my cousins smoked. They were 9, 10 years old. They had their own packs of cigarettes, and they didn't care. They're like, oh yeah, go I'll get some cigarettes. So now they see in this generation that's over there, they're all vaping, and they're all happy with it, because they're like, okay, if this is supposedly better for you than buying a pack of cigarettes, then continue vaping. So like even when my brother took my brother's a cigar smoker, and he wanted something because he didn't want to pay those crazy prices for cigars in Sicily. So he wanted a vape. So I set him up a vape, and the first time they saw it over there was like 8 years ago, and they were blown away. That little town, they're like, oh my God, that smells just like a cigarette, and some of them started looking for it, which was a little difficult on, a town of 650 people out in the middle of friggin' nowhere. But he said they all have devices now over there in that town. They all have devices.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and they're all Geek Vape. Geek Vape is big. Geek Vape is big in Sicily.
Yeah, probably because they can't break them. That's probably the best part.
Anybody got anything questions? Paul does, because he stood up all excited. Go ahead, Paul.
I've got one question. You called out the UK and France. Okay, they've got very sensible vaping laws.
Yeah,
and Phil and Dimmy went through a facility over in France where the tobacco leaf comes in. They're growing their own tobacco leaf for that project, yet it's not touched by humans after it actually gets put into the hopper. I'd like to see that type of model rolled out in various countries around the world, where You've got your own crop, you've got your own lab, you've got your own everything. They create all their own flavors in-house, so it's all contained.
So you're saying they're making the nicotine in the same site where they're making e-liquid?
Yes. Yeah. They're doing their own extraction, everything.
I don't know if that's cost effective or, I mean, maybe. So
no,
in India, where they banned vaping,
Yeah.
the one of the big I don't remember now if it was a chemical company or a pharma company. They're making nicotine, or they're extracting nicotine for the purpose of making e-cigarettes. They just can't make them in India. Correct. So I wish I remembered the story better, and I wrote it, but I don't remember it. There was a big thing a couple of years ago about that.
Well, okay. The company, there was a lot of tobacco growers where they were sending their tobacco, the tobacco leaf, to the manufacturer. Yeah. And it was a chemical company. They were doing the ground extraction, and then it was being like the base product was then being sent to be distilled in different labs around the world. A lot of the base product was coming out of India. That one.
Yeah. So I'm just remembering. I think that what the story was that I was referring to is the government invested in this, or they gave them seed money to do this project.
Yep. Correct.
But a lot of the nicotine that's extracted, that's used for vaping products anywhere in the world, comes from India.
Correct.
And I think that China probably produces more, but India is one of the top 2 or 3 countries.
They're the top 3 now.
Yeah.
It's India, China. The third can be debated between 3 or 4 countries.
And Poland.
Yeah. Poland has mind-boggling nicotine coming out of there right now. It's probably probably some of the best on the planet. I hate to say that, but
you can say that. You'll be fine. You won't upset China.
Oh, well, I used to work for Chem Novatic and Mullenberry, so it's not a problem. But you are right. The Indian government actually shot themselves in the ass for doing what they did and then banning it overnight, because I still had commercial liquids in the market when overnight, bang, the doors were shut on every facility throughout India, like all the shops, everything. And we woke up that morning and went, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
How did this just happen? You were backing the industry 1 minute on one side of it, yet you went and did this. Why?
Because an accountant crunched the numbers.
No, it was because the WHO told them.
Yeah. So, thank you. Yeah. It was influence from the World Harm Organization, not the World Health. Right?
I want to give real quick back to something about California. I want to know, how's the hookah getting away with it? I mean, exactly.
They did a good job lobbying the.
Can we hire them?
I don't know. So a lot of it, they very wisely played it up as a cultural thing of Middle Eastern people, and the politicians were afraid to touch that.
Can we start a vape church? I know we talked about this before, but can we start a vape church?
I thought about that too, or private clubs.
Yep, private clubs.
I don't know. I think that the laws would probably vary a lot between states, but I think that if I owned vape shops that were in danger of closing because of state laws, I'd be looking into that.
Yeah, because they tried that trickery here in California when they first brought out the no smoking in bars. All of a sudden, business owners were like, you know what? Why don't we just open up a club, charge a membership fee? You want to come and drink? You're going to come and drink. You can smoke. But then they got them because there was food involved. Once there's food involved, then they got them. They're like, you can have a bar, but you can't have bar food. You can't have food with cigarettes. And they shut that down quick.
So when I was a teenager living in Flint, Michigan, there were a lot of after-hours clubs that were basically presented as private clubs. And if you went in, you would have to pay a membership fee, very similar to a cover charge.
Yeah.
But they called it a membership fee. And I don't know if that still exists. It might in Flint, but I don't know if anybody is using that model to sell alcohol after legal hours or in places where they're not supposed to. Or
hell yeah, it still goes on. That's how Chicago House got started.
Yeah.
But I think that vaping people should be looking at every
avenue. We are the loophole. We are the loophole kings. We are the loophole kings.
Right. We get loopholes even where there were no
where there wasn't even a loophole. We had a couple places here. I mean, there was like a couple bars where they were smart. They got smart. You know, when that smoking thing happened, you know, that kind of put a lot of people in a situation that they didn't want to go outside to smoke, you know, and I laugh because, you know, it's so much different for me to go outside in November to smoke than it is for, say, someone in New York. You know, it's freezing cold. It's 70 here. I could still kind of go outside. But they turned them into cigar bars. That was like the big thing. So you can go in there, smoke a cigar or a cigarette and still get your alcohol. But there's no food.
There's a lot of places in California. Beverly Hills is one of them, I think, that banned all vaping products, banned, you know, all public smoking and stuff, except in cigar bars.
Yeah, except for cigar bars.
They have these exemptions, and now the hookah bars, same thing.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of loophole searching to be done depending on where you live. And you know what your business model is. But I think that there's probably stuff that people could be doing that they haven't been thinking about yet.
Yeah. I'm going to be Reverend John Truncali of the
So when I visited California in the 90s, right after San Francisco banned smoking in bars.
Yeah.
I think it might have happened just like a couple of weeks before I got there.
Yeah.
There were a lot of bars that just didn't pay any
attention. They said, fuck it. Yeah.
They were smoking like crazy in there.
Yeah. I went to a couple of those bars.
What if you get raided? And they said, well, the fine's like, I don't know what it was, $1,000. And
the cops were dirty.
So, I mean,
the cops were dirty as hell. I was in there. They would walk.
San Francisco was a nice city. I mean,
you
know,
they would walk into the bar, see us all smoking, and still come in to pick up their Philly cheesesteak sandwich. You know, and I'm just like sitting there thinking, are we supposed to be smoking in here? And the cops just they didn't give a crap. They didn't give a crap.
San Francisco, when I was younger, was such a different place than it is now. It was like it was like a wild city. It was a place where you know you could go and like engage in behavior that wouldn't be acceptable.
Yeah. Still is.
Well, it's not though. Like,
somewhat. Yeah.
It's the stuffy.
My deal is I kind of, every time we go there, we always go to North Beach, and we go there to North Beach, go have a slice at Tony's, go have a cannoli over at Victoria's, and that's my deal there. But there are still some places. I mean, all the old stuff that was on, I'm not going to go into this. No, there's some shady places.
Of course there are, and there's areas that where the drugs are sold openly, openly, and there's a lot of that. But
now you just got to move around the piles of shit that's on the ground in San Francisco. That's the problem right now. It's just it's horrible. It's horrible.
Don't you hate it when you step in human feces on your way to the oyster bar?
Yeah. Well, we're kind of, we have family that's here right now from Sicily, and they kind of want to go and they kind of don't, because even all the way over there, they're hearing how that city has changed. So to me, if they're hearing that in Sicily, I'm assuming all other parts of the world are hearing the same thing, And that city lives off tourism, and tourism.
San Francisco had the highest rate of people moving out of any major city in the country last year.
It's insane. I
think that they've reached the limit of.
It's insane. My cousin does tile in the city. They live in Redwood City, and they just did a house God, I can't remember the name. It's right on the water. It's right on the beach. And they had a $5.5 million tile bill, just tile in the house. That was tile, and tile, and what do you call it? I forget that. What is that called? The other stone shit that everybody's using.
Granite.
Right? Granite. Yes. Yeah. All Italian marble, all Italian granite, and all Italian tile. It was $5.5 million total cost of tile and construction work pay just for that house. And it's insane. It's insane.
See, they could go to Lake Tahoe and get the same thing for $3.4 million.
No, it's got to be shipped from Italy, Jim. It's got to be. It's blessed by the Pope, and then the deacon puts it on. And then when he gets here, there's another bishop from the church or whatever, and he blesses it before it comes to shore. Yeah, it's a process. It's Italian tile. Come on.
You know the story about the Apple stores and the granite floors, right? The Apple got in one of their early Apple stores.
Yeah.
This really nice granite from Italy, or granite or marble. It was marble. And Steve Jobs liked it so much that they bought the mountain in Italy and the mining operation, and built all the Apple stores with that same marble.
Yeah, it's insane. What happened to my camera? Focus, camera.
Can you imagine having that much money? I'm just gonna buy the mountain. Like, what?
Oh yeah. I just read an article, and we're tight towards the end of the show anyway, so we could talk whatever. But I just read an article that made me laugh, because it was just like, everybody remembers the laid back atmosphere that Google was trying to portray with their employees, and how they wanted everybody just to be relaxed, come into work with your sandals on and shorts, and the article was all about how employees are upset right now because Google is telling them they need to start working and producing stuff and being productive. So they're mad at Google for telling them to be more productive.
So
they gave them nap pods. What are they going to do?
A lot of companies let people work from home for 2 years.
Yeah.
And now they want them to come back and work out of it. Because, I mean, frankly, I work at home, and I'm glad I do. But if you run a business, I can totally see this. I don't believe that you're getting as much productivity out of people who are working from home as they would give you in the office. So they want them back, and people are resisting that. And now the way the job market is, that a lot of these people are quitting and finding another job where they'll let them work from home. So it's an interesting future in the employment.
Well, that article wasn't about people that were working from home. These were people that were working in the office, that were actually working in the office, that they felt that they needed to be more productive. And this is a company saying, hey, you know what? We need to see some better numbers, for the fourth quarter. We need to see some production. It's time to start working. And that upset the employees, because it was just like, wait a minute, you mean I can't play freaking foosball at lunch now? Well, what can I do?
Well, I mean, the answer to that from the boss would be, yes, you can, but you have to get better numbers.
I worked for a company that we used to do graphic coding out in Silicon Valley, and we used to do a lot of the boxes for these companies back then when they used to have CDs that went in boxes, and I would have to take samples to these companies. And this is my first experience at Google, and I walk through there, and I'm supposed to get a signature to say, okay, go ahead and let's print these. And I walked in there were just people laying on the floor, and I was just like, this wasn't like an office environment that I have grown up to see, you know, guys in their suits, you know, dressed up. These were people laying on the ground on the carpet and bean bags and playing foosball, and it like took me 45 minutes to an hour just to get the guy to come down. I don't know what he was doing, you know, to finally sign off on something, but yet he couldn't make the decision because he was so afraid to say yes. So he had to get like 6 other people over there, you know. So, and then after I'm leaving, he goes, I'm sorry about that, but the way things work around here, if I were to approve that and it wasn't good, I wouldn't have anybody to blame. So he was getting 6 other people to be there to say,
That's
oh yeah,
policy.
yeah, so he can quickly go, well, Bob and, you know, an accountant said it looked good. You know, I was like, oh man, I couldn't work like that.
Yeah.
We are done. Jim, I want to thank you for joining us. It was fun having you on the show and getting to know you a little bit better. And we're always welcome back on anytime. Like I said, we constantly read your articles. We constantly talk about your articles here on the air. So it was great to finally get you on the show.
I appreciate that. Vaping360 will also appreciate that.
Yeah. I have the links to everything. Phil is associated with Vaping360. You have a little piece that's written over at CASA that you can go ahead and read there, and your Twitter account. So those are the things that I have listed, and I'll have those all put on in chat. And then if anybody wants to know, they can find Jim. Jim is.
Let me put in a plug for CASA while I've got you here.
Always, you want to see how much we love CASA here, and I apologize to CASA.
I believe you love CASA. I just want to
because usually I run this little thing and I forgot to turn it on, and I feel bad now that you reminded me that I forgot to run the little ticker that says please join CASA.
Oh, I see it. That's cool.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying that CASA, as always, is struggling for money, and it would be great if, first of all, it would be great if everybody joined CASA and got their funds to join. It's free, but you can also like put in like a recurring donation. It could be anything, by the way. It could be $3 a month if you wanted to. Just like they'll take it right out of your bank account. You won't even miss it.
Yep.
If anybody could help out with CASA, that would be great.
Yep, and they're consumer based, and I think people need to realize that. I think we always kind of make sure everyone understands this is a consumer based advocacy group. It's not associated with Geek Vape or I don't want to name names to eat like what companies right now in control.
CASA is a consumer organization that's run by consumers. There's some vaping industry people on the CASA board. Matt Cully, I guess you'd call him vaping industry. But in any case,
and it's right here, guys.
We're for consumers, and we're the only consumer organization representing vapors and other low-risk nicotine users in the United States at this point.
Is that our buddy right there on the right? Is that who I think it is?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't even
also, they sell really awesome hoodies. I have like 4 CASA hoodies. And they're super comfortable and they're awesome. So yeah, that's like my go-to.
I always forget to buy the merch. Sometimes they have it on sale, by the way, and I still forget.
Well, they're super comfy.
And I actually put
the one that has the slogan.
I'll put the link in chat there so people
or die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will put the link to the donation page there in chat. You guys head on over. Oh, there's Mr. Nick Orlando. I'm sorry. Hey, Nick, the show has ended. You're late. I know you were out. What hunting season is it right now in Florida? Where they? I think they opened it up just the other day. Isn't it the big snake? What's the name of the huge friggin' snake?
Anaconda?
They have a
Yeah, it's open season in Florida right now. There, you got guys that have never seen a snake in their life now that think they're great hunters, and they're out there hunting these snakes that could literally eat them.
That's an invasive species.
Python. There you go.
Pythons,
the
pythons.
Southern python. Yeah.
I'm gonna pass on the python hunting in Florida. All right, Jim, thank you again. Thank you, Allison, and thank you, Paul. And we'll see everybody next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Jim, thank you again. I'll have all of Jim's links in the chat to follow Jim. Head on over there. Head on over to CASA. Donate some money, guys. We appreciate it. And ciao. Buenas notte.
Bye.